I was having a conversation with a friend of mine from the north, and if there's anything you know about the northerners, you know that they understand that elections is a game of numbers. They understand that very well. You know, you can say any other thing you want to say about them, but at least that one they know it. You understand? So he was telling me something. He said to change Nigeria will be very easy. To appoint a leader that can change Nigeria will be very easy. He said if the SUGs of all the schools or the students of all the tertiary institutions, you know, mobilize themselves, they are capable of bringing the leader that can change the country to the position of presidency. I thought of it and I thought of it and I saw that it was making a lot of sense. But I looked at it from a broad view that not only the students but the younger population of 18 to 35 years, you understand, they are capable of influencing the political atmosphere of the country a lot if they are participating in it. So I looked at the population of people from the age of 18 to 35 in Nigeria, and it was about 68 million, one of the highest in the world, if not the highest, of that population. So thinking of it, we we have like one of the highest population of young people in the country with less participation in political activities. Now we have up to 93 registered voters in Nigeria based on 2023 statistics. And out of these 93 registered voters, about just 37 million are between the age of 18 to 35, which means we are leaving a 56 million for the middle age people and the elderly, the uncles, the aunties, the daddies, and mummies, and the grannies, those that can still vote. So, which means there is a very, very low level of participation from the younger, not very low, but low participation in politics from the younger generation of 18 to 35 years. So coming back to the point that my friend was trying to make, that the students in the tertiary institution can influence uh, the leaders of this country, can influence those that will become leaders of this country. I thought of it and uh, I came across a statistic somewhere that says there are over 300 universities in Nigeria, both public and private universities, and that's 300. That's just for universities. And we have polytechnics, we also have colleges of education, colleges of health, colleges of nursing schools, etc. We have a lot of tertiary institutions in Nigeria where students gather. And thinking of it, a lot of things that shapen the culture of our society have, once emerged from the campuses, from the universities, from the tertiary institutions. A good example is like cultism. It all started from the university and other queer things that people do these days, like signing of t-shirts during graduation. You see it happening in secondary schools now and all that. It all started in the university. There are things that shape our culture and the social political atmosphere that emerge from the campuses. You understand? So it's not been long I finished from the university, and I know how very oblivious uh, tertiary institution students can be to political activities these days. It has kind of died from the university system, from the tertiary institution system. People are just more concerned about coming to study, pass and graduate, but they don't really engage in activities like politics that determine their future. So you just want to pass and graduate to a society that doesn't really have a plan for you, graduate into joblessness and all that. So, but the main thing that affects your life, you have really, really ignored it. Politics, elections. You understand? So, um, what I'm trying to point at here is The students in tertiary institutions should become more politically active, organizing debates, rallies, different kinds of gatherings that can push political ideologies, push candidates that have ideologies that align with their own beliefs, people that believe that can take power and help in taking our society to the next level, to better our society. So they can organize debates, organize all kinds of rallies to create political awareness among both fellow students and people in their society. So it's it's something very very it's something that could be very very potent because um, the tertiary institutions are places where a lot of young people meet. A lot of young people meet in tertiary institutions, and a lot of academically active young people meet in tertiary institutions. So creating a very politically charged atmosphere where students come together to enlighten each other on how to vote more consciously instead of impulsively or out of selfish interests, and then enlighten even those in their communities on how to vote consciously, and then creating awareness among each others on the importance of having a voters card and participating in elections is going to really really affect the political destiny of our country, Nigeria, because we have the one of the largest younger population in the world. You understand? So out of the 68 million uh, young people between the age of 18 to 35, just about 37 million are registered voters. That is a lot of number, but there's nothing bad if you push it up to about 60 million people who are, registered voters and who are ready to participate actively in election. Yes, the electoral reforms agitation is great. It's amazing. I like the fact that we are, taking actions to see how we can, adjust the political atmosphere. But you can still, agitate for electoral reform and then lose the game when it comes to numbers. So having more people participating in elections, voting during elections is very, very, very important. And I feel that the tertiary institutions, the students in the tertiary institution can, bring in their, active participation, as young people that they are, and their ideologies and all that, and their energy, the energy of the youth, they can bring it into politics because you can't, separate the impact of, you can't take away the impact of those who come into power from the impact they have on the lives of those in the university. You can't take it away. You can't take it away. You can graduate, you can do your studies and be the best student and still come out and you will not have a job. School is not a scam. The society is not just working. It's not just working. So being active in politics is very, very important. You just can't take that away. You might want to argue that the school environment is not a place for politics and all that, but then the school environment is not also a religious environment. But you have your fellowships here and there. You risk your life to travel from one place to another for religious conventions and all that. I'm not saying that it's bad, but as you do that, you have to also become very, very active in something that actually really, really affects your life. Something that is, really, really shaping the reality of your society. You have to become an active, you have to actively participate in that. You are not going to sit down and leave the job for the mommies and the daddies. Look at our statistics: 93 million registered voters, and up to 56 million are uncles, daddies, mommies, and aunties. So you have to become very active because it's going to affect your life. So Yakubu Gowon was already the head of states at the age of 36. So you are not too young at the age of 18 to start participating, at least by voting, at least by educating others on the importance of voting. It's very, very important. engaging the students in politics is very important. Um, well, I don't expect anything revolutionary from our scheme of work, or from our scheme of work in the school, from our lecturers, because even our education system is not really built to, make us revolutionary. So, but then uh, there are courses like political science, sociology, here and there, international relations. Lecturers in this field can, make this in like a project work where you give a project. I'm just making this up now. I'm not an expert in these fields, but you can make it a project work where you give students the work of like organizing like a group. You know, let them organize a group where they create political awareness, let them measure their impacts, record their meetings and their activities and the impacts it has on the political atmosphere of the school and of their communities. I think it's a bright idea. But then, in the absence of that, we all should wake up and become very, very politically active in the schools. Thank you.